winning time because it was on HBO, so they couldn't call it Showtime. That's what they wanted to call it Showtime, but HBO is not gonna call it Showtime. So
Yeah. Showtime makes more sense too.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
That would have been the worst. Yeah, that would have been the worst promo for another. But I mean, this is a great opportunity for Showtime to do their thing. But hey, bro, I got a question for you. How many days till the NFL season start?
Well, somebody just hit me up too. Was it 90, 95? 95?
Nah, brother. I'll give you another guess. So I'm being technical. The first exact game, which you know what I'm saying, which is that Thursday game.
No, when I said to where we in July, right? Okay, nah. So it can't be 90. It got to be September.
Brush. We 64 days away, bro. Yeah, man. Not 9. Bro, come on, you put 30 extra days on that, man.
Yeah, exactly. A whole another month on there.
Right around the corner, man.
I was never gonna guess that, man. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Somebody just said it. That's crazy. Somebody just like said it the other day. It's like some days to football.
Right.
You know, that's my dyslexia, bro. You know that 6 and
that. Hey, man, don't forget to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Raiders! 2 years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back for another edition of Around the Shield, man, and we got a special guest, man, a familiar face. My guy, Adal Usman NFL. Make sure to subscribe to my guy, man. Appreciate you coming through. You're not a Raider fan. I'm gonna give you the Raider salute, man. Raider fans might kill me for that because
I'm gonna catch y'all in the preseason, catch y'all in the regular season, man. It's love. We're gonna host y'all real nice, man. Catch y'all at the pregame tailgate with the whole nines, man.
Stay tuned, man. We got everybody pulling up, man. Appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We got a few things to talk about. Obviously, y'all see the title on the thumbnail. Recently ESPN has been doing these rankings, and it's not ESPN rankings. They're not strictly ESPN rankings. We wouldn't really put too much stock into it. It's interesting because the rankings are based off coaches, NFL executives, and scouts, and the combination of all of them, they ranked top 10 players at each position. So the other day on the 50-50 show, make sure to check out the latest episode. Me and Severe, we went over the running backs and corners. And then this week, edge rusher and defensive tackle. And obviously, edge rusher is going to be, I think Raider fans are going to be paying attention to that a little bit because that's where we see a familiar face and like Max Crosby get ranked and your boy Adal, your boy Nick Bosa, I believe, was ranked too as well, so. Which is kind of crazy because that tells you
how. Got commentary on that. Definitely do.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Look, I'm just saying, like, it's crazy that he's ranked even. I'm not trying to diss him as the talent. It's just he's been hurt a lot. That tells you how talented he is. Like, they're like, hey, we know he gets hurt, but man, this dude is still.
That's good foreshadowing because that's you're leading me down the street. I'm definitely gonna visit, bro.
Yeah, and man, and I don't know if you guys heard that. Actually, Nick Bosa reached out to the senator from Paraguay, man. So hopefully they're able to connect. And
Ooh, don't put that on that boy, bro. That's crazy, man.
They able to connect.
Man. I hope not, man. I hope not. I shoot him some bail. I hope not.
That is crazy. Crazy.
They were in San Jose, bro. They were at San Jose State practicing, so that might have been a situation, man. I don't know.
No, for real. But look, hey, and we're also gonna get into a few other things. Yeah, Brandon Ayuk has been like a flag on the play almost every week. Adal, you already know. Yeah. Me and you hosted a show when Severe was out, and I think he was a flag that week too. Lately, he's kind of been. Like he doesn't know what to do. I don't know what we're gonna get into the situation because I want to hear from you because I know you've been following it closely. So it'll be interesting to hear your takes on Brandon Ayuk and that whole situation. Okay. Max Crosby trade, discussion. A lot of we got the Cowboys, the 49ers. Cowboys-49ers, a classic, rivalry right there. But both teams are kind of linked to Max, so we're gonna get into all that good stuff, man. But everybody, man, if you're just joining us, definitely clock in. It's gonna be a fire show. Clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell. First and foremost, man. Adam, man, how you doing, man? How's everything going, man?
Life good. World Cup coming down to the end. I was just telling y'all that before we got here. It's the first, I think, few days we're getting used to having one game now. And then it's another 4-year wait. So I've been chilling, man, just in between work and life, catching these games or going to the fan zones whenever I had the chance during group stages and stuff like that. Like I said, cultural exchange. I just love what sports can do for you. Seeing, a lot of the Mexican fans just enjoying a perfect group stage. Unfortunately, all the host teams are out now, and it's, the quality is going to rise to the top, and that's what we're getting to watch. Haaland, Mbappe, Messi. So, I'm sitting tight, just trying to get to that World Cup final. I got a lot of good stuff coming up in my personal life, bro. So I'm just enjoying things. How about you guys?
Yeah, life is good, man. Everything's is good on my end. My guy Severe, man. Go ahead, man. How you feeling?
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, everything. We're looking at the kind of, yeah, we'll see. We'll see, DJ. We shall see.
Hey, man. Hey,
according to Mostert, right? According to Mostert, we should be seeing a bunch of them,
player, right? Most explosive player that he's been around.
Man. Man,
That's high praise coming from an explosive player himself. So, hey,
I got back to watching the All-22 in preparation for the year. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that, bro. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Don't hold your breath, DJ.
It was good, man. Appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate everybody coming through. TK's what have y'all did to AIU? Okay, we're gonna get into it, TK. We gonna get into it. Salute, John, man. Appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate everybody coming through. I guess we can segue into that. We can segue into the IU situation. I mean,
okay.
It feels like every day there's something new. Every day.
Where do we start?
I guess. All right, let me ask you this. Last weekend, there was a clip of Jaden Daniels at some time. I think he was probably at a World Cup. Was he at a World Cup game?
I think he was at a World Cup game. Yeah.
I think he was at.
He was at a Spain match. Yeah.
He was at some type of sporting event, and a fan is like basically calling his name, and then he got his attention, and then he's just like cussing him out, saying like, "Hey," well, not cussing him directly, but more so like cussing out Ayuk and saying that he's never gonna play with you and da da da. And then from what we seen, I mean, I didn't really see Jane Daniels say anything to the guy other than just laugh it off. But like I don't know how long after Ayuk has like a social media post where he addresses it and he's talking all types of mess, talking about his mom this and talking about Jane Daniels this and all this type of crazy stuff. And kind of reference something that was sent to him. So I'm assuming that maybe Jaden Daniels maybe reached out to him and told him like, this is my team. Because he kept saying that, like Jaden Daniels like saying this is my team and you got to follow the rules. He kind of said
Yeah.
So that was probably said behind the scenes. But first off, do you believe this? Do you believe this is a real beef between the two? Or do you think this is just another layer to the Ayuk situation where he's just like unraveling? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It goes back to what I said, I think when we did the 50-50 breakdown, and it's more so directed at who Brandon Ayuk is. I think I overspoke when I said this is an indictment on JUCO products that come into the NFL. And I got to scale that back because that's not fair. There's probably so many other JUCO products that have successfully made their way into the NFL and not have made as much noise as Ayuk will continue to make, apparently. And I think it's beyond football for him at this point. I think he's relishing in the attention. This is the most Brandon Ayuk's name has been brought up. Like, name me at any point in his footballing career where his name was brought up to this extent. He's had great plays, but I'm pretty sure the game will continue without him. And I think he's just put himself in an unfavorable position. And like, what were you expecting Jaden Daniels to do? Jump over that glass and punch that guy in the face for saying, like, you're professionals, man. Like, basketball players deal with it, NFL players deal with it, baseball players deal with it. Heckling is part of the game now. Where that line is crossed, obviously, I think what everyone kind of agrees as grown men is like family and personal stuff, right? You can make fun of everything else, but I think you just try to steer clear of those things. And Jaden Daniels is in a make or break situation here his next 2 years. Like, he came out of the gates extremely successful and tying himself to anyone like Brandon Ayuk right now, where his performance will be directly tied to the contract that he can negotiate. You're not only disrespecting my mom, you're disrespecting my agent, who's going to sit in the room with these owners, who's going to, broker deals on my behalf. And like, his mom reminds me of an African mom, for the simple fact that, like, she's so involved. And I think Jaden Daniels, all he can do is be like, my mom hasn't steered me in the wrong direction up until this point, so why would I go against the grain? So for you to have this personal relationship with me, and I'm sure Jaden Daniels is working with, Adam Peters, GM of the Commanders and former assistant GM of the 49ers, there's already that relationship. Like, so all you had to do was stay quiet for a few months, get cut. He was already supposed to be cut a month ago. Like, but the fact that or at the very least, like a post July 1st cut, but you just put yourself in a position where you disrespected the GM disrespected Jaden Daniels' mom. You disrespected Kyle Shanahan, and you disrespected the San Francisco 49ers fan base. So if that was the plan from from the get-go, is to just get attention, and like you said, I gotta post these videos to make money, then you should have never relinquished that $27 million that you worked so hard to negotiate. So it goes back to that pivot interview where he said, I made it harder than it needed to be. And that that reflects perfectly like what he is right now at this very moment. He's just making everything harder than it needs to be. If you want to leave, there's legal avenues to do that. And to this point, he hasn't reached out to anybody to help him do that. So how do you help somebody in that situation?
Yeah, man, it's a slow moving train accident, man. You're watching it, you're like, oh my, come on, man, like just. And I seen something where, I don't know how true this is. There's a possibility he doesn't even play this year. Like the 49ers could probably go ahead and just hold on to him, and for whatever reason, or they might hold on to so late and then they release him, and then will teams even be interested, especially with everything that he's been doing off the field, which is crazy. Real quick, man, let me address this.
You remember what I mentioned too, bro, about potential revokes of like 13. Now they're mentioning figures, but I knew that they were going to go after more money in contract guarantees that he's been paid. So there's been reports like 13 to 18 million dollars in guarantees that they could possibly go after.
Damn, that's wild, man. My God, El Capitan in the building, man. Appreciate the super chat. He says, what up, fellas? Raph in the building. What's good? Appreciate the super chat. He says, great show, man. Appreciate you coming through and supporting the show, man. My guy. But I'm kind of, I don't know why. I'm leaning where TK's talking about here. I don't know. I feel like Daniels' beef feels performative, taking a page out of the AB playbook just to get released. Then they'll be kumbaya in Washington. Yeah, it just seemed kind of like, I don't know. It like, you believe it in one sense. You're like, man, like everything that Ayuk is doing is kind of like just out of, like, it just seems weird, and how to he's handling the whole situation terribly. But the other side to me is like it just like seems too perfect, because he's been talking about Washington the whole time. Like, he seems so confident, like Washington. So I'm thinking, like, behind the scenes, who is he talking to? Oh, he's talking to Jaden Daniels, and they're probably like, hey, we're gonna make this happen. Don't worry about it. We're gonna, I'm sure that's his boy, right? It seems like it's his boy.
Man, that's what you just. I think if anything, that opens up the Washington Commanders for further ground to be investigated for what they're doing behind closed doors. Like, why is a quarterback talking to another receiver that's under contract, and everything that he's done just goes again to those stipulations in the contract where they'll just be able to go right directly to that as the reason why they can go and just recoup more money. And so for Brandon Ayuk to be stubborn to that end, it's like, my thing is with anybody that has a dispute, right? Like most of the 49er players that have had contract holdouts, Trent Williams being the one I'm most familiar with, he's arguably the most accomplished at his position, but he always has an end goal. It's like, I need this money. I need this annual earning per year. Brandon Ayuk got that. So now I'm just curious as to like what would have made this go away.
D-Moke says Ayuk is insane in the membrane. No. Maybe just a little bit. But that's my point though. Like, you're talking about them being investigated, and that's why they want to, like, maybe, you could obviously you can criticize Ayuk for how he's handling the whole situation, but it seems like oh, it'd be perfect if he's beefing with Jaden Daniels, and then like, just to like, move a little bit of like the attention from him and the Commanders being connected, and maybe some behind.
You know how I read that though, bro? It's weird. Like, if they were in on that together, let's look at that hypothesis, right? Let's say that they're in on it and they're trying to create basically what you would call like a double cross situation, where they're playing us and they're walking us down the street. They want us to go down, but essentially it's not the actual truth. You need to use Jaden Daniels' mom. Like, that's why for me on July 4th, it looks like he's having some wine or maybe some grape juice. I wouldn't blame him for either. But look, at the end of the day,
So it was purple drink.
it's like, yeah, it's that purple drink, bro. Like, you know, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying, bro,
it's
is
grape
like,
drink. It wasn't grape juice. We don't drink
Yeah.
juice. It was a grape drink.
I want that grape drink.
you know, so like at the end of the day, bro, it's really about the end result. Like, what did you want to accomplish with this? And for me, it was like, if the clear path was to get off the Niners, you should have fought to get reinstated so you could get taken off that, you know, that NFI list. But it's like right now, the Niners can just sit on this contract for the next 5 years, and it would be beneficial to their cap situation, and they could play hardball, where essentially they're saying, you're not an active NFL player. Legally, you're not a player that we can even discuss you having to affect our books. We've already moved on. We've drafted your replacements, and we're moving forward. For Brandon Ayuk, he's in no man's land right now.
Yeah.
He's on Alcatraz Island. He's on Alcatraz Island for the person that said he's insane in the membrane. He is trying to find his way to shore.
He's on Shutter Island. He thinks he's in
Shutter Island.
He's really a patient. He thinks he's actually a patient there. He's not a detective.
Man, that spinning top is not spinning right, bro.
My guy D-Mokes with the super chat. Appreciate you, my guy. He says, Ayuk is giving me Chandler Jones by the bonfire vibes, man. That's crazy.
But hey, you know what I think it is, man? I do see a lot of his posts, bro. It's like his son is in the background, so to his credit, like I know that somewhere there, like, you know, he is there present for his child. So I don't want to get too caught up in like what he's trying to do on social media, you know, and that to me, especially on the heels of like Alden Smith passing away, like I get it, bro. We could laugh, we could crack them jokes, but like Brandon Ayuk is definitely watching the things that people are posting, people are saying, and that I think is a big part of what's caused this train track to really not be able to sustain the weight that he's probably feeling and carrying. Right? He doesn't have a conductor that's helping him get through this journey, and like it's sad to me that not a single NFL person has been able to get a hold of him or be, you know, like someone that like he respects or he fears or he reveres in a way to where like this person is going to change my ways, right? Because there's always a path back to success, but like I appreciate that commentary, because at the end of the day, it is a train wreck, and it's like a guide for young people to not follow this example. But it's also kind of like, I don't want some of the things that we say in the fodder that we partake in, for example, to be the thing that like Brandon Ayuk's got like probably maybe a 5 to 7 year old son. So to be fair, like I know that affects him, but it's like, even if he does walk away with about $20 million, like we can't sit here and laugh too hard, because it's like a lot of us ain't touched one M. So for him to, you know, so it's relative to how you want to measure that, right? Because if he does definitely feel like I gave my body to this game and my knee is destroyed and I can't ever play again and the team played me, I can understand this, you know, to where he probably feel like nobody's in my corner, and I'm playing ultimate devil's advocate. But I think it's more a lot of him putting dirt in a clear glass of water and complaining about that as a result of like not having the patience to just drink that water and benefit what that water would have gave him. So it's kind of like, bruh, that might not have been the right analogy, but I want to tread lightly, but at the same time, I think like you're a professional and this is what comes with it. People are going to report on you, and your behavior and your conduct is a big part of your earning power. Like, without that, what are we doing here? What do you want? If you want to get off the Niners, there's paperwork you need to file, and you need to report on certain dates. If not, you are on the shelf until further notice. Like,
yeah, man. Hey, D-Mox, hey, you just reminded me, because you're the second person that brought up the Chandler Jones. I gotta get the soundbite. I gotta get the soundbite of him taking a deep breath near the bonfire. Yeah.
You gotta get that song, bro. You gotta get the song he made, bro. Song he made by Josh McDaniels. I don't feel it's a. I mean, like I said, I don't think this is a plot, because that would, you know, as Adele was saying, that's gonna bring too much attention to an organization that's already been under investigation. Like, the last team in the NFL that would want the league offices investigating what they've been doing is the Commanders, right? Like, we already know, like, John Gruden ain't around no more for them to kind of throw some dirt on, right? Who they gonna sacrifice this time? So, like, they need to, so, like, obviously, if he ends up doing all this stuff with the Commanders and signs with the Commanders, it's going to be a massive speculation about tampering. So that's not a route they want to go down. But I don't know what his plan is, because we say the AB thing, but think about AB. AB had already been in the league for a little while. He had already got a cool contract. Remember, the Steelers moved on. Yeah, the Steelers had moved on from Mike Wallace to keep AB. That's how much faith they had. And that's when Mike Wallace was tearing up the league. Like, nobody can guard him.
Right.
So, like, they moved on and kept AB and paid AB, and obviously AB for a time had rewarded them, but he is already like Adele was saying, established as one of the best players in the league at his position, on track for a Hall of Fame career. This is Brandon Ayuk's first payday. So for him to crash out like this and to do it in this manner where he's really limiting his options, because people seeing this behavior, they like, that how much of a distraction you are is always, or how much of a distraction a team is willing to tolerate from a player is always relative to how much they produce on the field. And if they don't feel that distraction is going to be, enough for them to tolerate all this nonsense you're doing, then they're not going to bring you in. So, I just think he's going about this all wrong.
Could I read what Bruh said? Because for me, I think it's also like the little statements that he's been posting online. Like, if I feel like it complements exactly what you just said right now. And it's like, I think a big thing that the Niners have been known for, like when Nick Bosa tore his ACL, we're going to talk about him in a little bit. I know we are, but when he's gotten injured, the Niners have allowed him to train and rehab in Florida, where he's based out of his dad. And like, I think they have a gym out there. So, he's very much allowed that space of like, hey, you can work out from home, whatever. George Kittle, when he's been injured, McCaffrey. And so the players in the upper echelon, and I think Brandon Ayuk wanted to be extended that same courtesy. So like, some of the complaints that he stated is like, when the news finally came out that my guarantees were voided in November, the team continued to lie to the media and fan base, acting as if that was not a decision that was made in July. So we're talking about a 5-month difference there, right? Where they're saying something to the media and he knows he's not coming back, continually saying that I would be returning, despite the fact that I told them on numerous occasions that I would not be. With the severity of my injury and guarantees no longer on the table, that was not an option. We are 1 year from the date in which they made the decision to void my contract due to missed rehab, yet they have footage and GPS information that shows I reached the markers I never hit even before injury, all before the required recovery time ordered by the surgeon. And I'm sitting here reading that statement, and check out my Instagram page tonight, because I'm gonna post it. And I really like to break down what people say, because at the end of the day, you're saying guarantees are voided in November. That is his problem. Y'all took some money off my plate. And what was going on during that time was he would show up to practice and games in the preseason and run some routes. And, like as natural fans would do, they get excited. Like, okay, we're going to layer that in with Ricky Pearsall, and that should be exciting to see him work his way back. But he said, with the severity of my injury and guarantees no longer on the table, that was no longer an option. So he's saying my injury was something I always felt was going to be a problem when we were negotiating my $130 million contract for 4 years, right? Or was it 120? I'm sorry. So like, for him to be concerned about that, and then 7 games into the season after signing that extension, he destroys his knee. He was vindicated in feeling like, I need all my guarantees in that original contract he signed. So up until that point, I'm with him. But then he says, they void my guarantees due to missed rehab, yet they have the footage and the GPS information that shows I reached markers I never hit even before injury. And if you see some of the posts, he's dancing, kicking the soccer ball. His knees look like they're good, but is that NFL ready? Is that you going down the middle, running a slant route and getting hit by a middle linebacker? Like, let me just pick one. Ernest Jones, Super Bowl winning, Seattle Super Bowl. You're going to see him twice a year. So I feel like if your argument is the severity of my injury, and you didn't check in with them on any points of rehab and it's contractually written in there. Let's say it's not. Let's say he missed one check-in in September or whatever. But then you start going crazy and you start saying crazy stuff, and something that he's openly self-snitched on himself about is John Lynch came to talk to me and I didn't even take the meeting. I left him at the front door. I saw him on the ring camera and I didn't give him a chance. So at what point do we also got to look at you and say, hey man, you're closing a lot of doors and your arguments are kind of working against themselves? Because if you're healthy, you should have just been letting them check in with you on rehabs. That's something as simple as a Zoom call or you going into the facility to get checked up, x-rays, whatever it is. That is never too cumbersome for me. Like, even if I felt like I deserve superstar status treatment, which I don't think Brandon Ayuk has yet earned that. So for him to give up 27, that we see, that number figure that we see, and that's what everyone talks about. If you think about California, that number is closer to 50% discounted, right? Right? He's probably walking away with 11, 12 after everything. So it's like, I know he's mad about that. There's no way to turn and twist that, and for you to not have an agent, you know, and then for you to go after Jaden Daniels and like kind of try to emasculate him behind his mother, because that's essentially what he did.
Yeah.
And if he ends up signing with the Washington Commanders, because Jaden Daniels posted something with all his wide receivers working out in the summer just earlier today, so I took that as a sign of like, I got the guys I need, and I'm not gonna bring somebody to talk about my mom and give him 1,000-yard season to vindicate whatever crash out villain story arc that he's created in his head. Like, Brandon Ayuk's got to come to the table. He laid this bed. He got to kind of sleep in it and then wake up and hopefully be a better person and get that opportunity. But nobody's going to sit here and argue for a vet minimum over a guaranteed contract. Nobody.
Yeah. No, facts. Hey, and it's going to be a situation that we're going to keep an eye on, man. It's, like I said, slow moving train accident. So everybody's paying attention to it. Look, us Raider fans, we know what dysfunction looks like. We've seen it. We've seen it with Antonio Brown, if you want to talk about receivers function. And that was so obvious. Like, it was everything. But I guess Antonio Brown, if you want to give him any credit, he did it masterfully. You know what I mean? Like, everything that he did was like such a huge distraction. And like, it was so crazy where the Raiders were like, oh yeah, we're not going to deal with this. Especially, but you could also like you could also criticize it, because if he just would have waited one game.
Hey, but you didn't ever feel like, though, like, I just felt like John Gruden was gonna, I always was of the feeling like John Gruden gonna eventually figure this out. He's gonna start producing. Maybe I'm just the ultimate optimist. I did not see that going the way it did. Like, I just felt like it was trying to establish himself, you know?
John Gruden has a history of like producing, you know, productive receivers. Like, if you're a receiver or a weapon in John Gruden's offense, you're gonna get your numbers. Tight end, wide receiver, running back, whatever, you know, fill in the blank. So, and you heard I don't know if you heard the, I know Severe, you heard the call where Antonio Brown literally recorded the call. You could tell, like John Gruden, he wanted, and I've seen interviews after the fact, like years later, they've interviewed guys like Derek Carr, guys like obviously John Gruden, and they talked about like Antonio Brown, and they were just like so amazed, like
Richie Incognito,
yeah. So crazy situation. Way better.
Max talked about it too. I mean, it's crazy.
If you want to talk about talent, you brought this up.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Night and day.
And that's the thing. That's why it's more tolerable again when your production, like Severe said earlier, it's like that production will make me look the other way. Like, oh, you know what? No, it's okay. It's like that's 2 touchdowns a season, like, or whatever the production value metric you're looking for. So it's like Brandon Ayuk was ascending, and I think it's a little bit of self-sabotage mixed in with like understanding what it is to be a professional, man. It's plain and simple. There's just every place that you're required to be a professional. You know, and I've heard some Raider fans like, oh, Brandon Ayuk, the second he touches another jersey, he's going, you know, revenge season, he's going to ball out. And I'm going to just wait to see that happen, because I've never seen something like this before. It's so strange. And the Niners are setting themselves up for an interesting week 1 of training camp of just having to address this. And, players are going to all have to address this question. So that's something I'm frustrated about, I think, from a simple standpoint of like, that makes no sense to me. You're setting yourself, you're setting up players to have to answer that. A player who's not on this team, you have a first round draft pick who's going to have to address being a replacement for it. But you know what? That's what it is, bro.
Yeah. Rosetown. Shout out to Rosetown, man. I noticed this earlier. Man, you're up there one of the best thumbnails, man. That's the King of Queens in a Mendoza jersey, man. That's pretty creative, man.
Yeah,
shout out to you. He said, hopefully we don't bring in Arnold. And I know, man. I seen a rumor, but it could possibly be agent motivated.
The Niners will take a 7th round pick for Ayuk. I think that's the going rate. If you guys need a $30+ million receiver, he's on the market.
We do not want
tap in with the Niners.
Yeah, not for that contract. Not for that contract.
Nah, man.
Exactly.
No, for sure. But you kind of mentioned earlier, we're gonna get into pass rushers. And earlier I brought up like ESPN. They talk to executives, coaches, scouts all around the league. They rank top 10 players at each position. Last 50-50 show, we got into running backs and corners. Today, we'll talk about edge rushers and the interior D lineman, D tackle specifically. And we'll just start with the edge rusher because I think that's what everybody wants to see and talk about because obviously Max Crosby was and as well as your guy, Nick Bosa, was also listed in the top 10. And I'm going to pull that up.
Hey, for clarity, man, none of these players are my guys, man. We respect the talent, but I do not. I can't even do that, bro. Not Nick Bosa, man. I rock with it. He got the red and gold, but none of these guys are my guys. It's an objective coverage of what they do out here, man. We not.
Yes, sir. We gotta keep it real, man.
I gotta check that real quick. Hold on. Reel that back in, brother, man.
Especially Nick, bro. We know him.
So number one is no surprise. Number one is Myles Garrett. He's obviously he's the best pass rusher in the league. He was just traded from the Browns to the Rams. That puts them in before they were a Super Bowl contender before the trade. Now they're like Super Bowl favorite. You know what I mean? Like you can argue that that's a favorite to go all the way. I'm sure everybody's gonna be picking them. So that's not a surprise. Number 2, Micah Parsons, Green Bay Packers. They ranked number 2 overall. He's 27 years old, explosive pass rusher. He was listed number 2. Then you got Will Anderson from the Houston Texans at number 3. Okay. I think he was picked 3rd overall in the 20.
Yes, 3rd overall. Yep, 3rd overall.
21 or 22 draft, I believe.
23.
Was it
23?
He was drafted the same year as CJ Stroud.
23, I want to say. I want to say it's 23.
23? Okay. So he was number 3. I'm like, oh, okay. And then obviously number 4, Max Crosby, the number 4 ranked pass rusher. Now, we'll get into in a second. We'll get into if we agree with it or not. But some of the things that they said about him, they mentioned, obviously he's all around game, how he can impact the pass, getting after the, quarterback as well as, versus the run. The dude is elite. He's a game wrecker. Motor is unbelievable. We all know that. But, the knock on Max Crosby, which I agree with this, but this is what they mentioned here. I'm going to read this right here. One knock on Crosby. The motor that makes him great creates the threat of wear and tear. And we've been saying this. Last few years we're like, man, Max, we get it. You have a high motor. It's great that you can play every snap and be an effective player. But eventually that's going to catch up to you. And hopefully this year he's going to take some plays off here and there and just manage. I hope he can just manage himself as well as the coaching staff manage him so he can have a longer career and have a more productive career because the last few years he has been getting hurt. He that goes on to say he doesn't like coming off the field. The Ravens had concerns about his surgery. I'm gonna disregard that last because them scumbags, they just took an opportunity just because you know, they didn't want it. They had cold feet, so we're not gonna get into that. But I do agree with the fact that you can say that is a knock on Max, is that like not one coaching staff challenged Max Crosby enough to tell him like, hey, look, we need you to come off the field. We need to protect you so you can have a prolonged career and have a deep playoff run. Like if you're getting hurt and ending your season and you have to have like your knee, you know, what are they? Wasn't that one year where his knee was like, they had to like not inject but like drain his knee.
Yeah.
And he even said, he quote unquote said he almost like it was life threatening.
Almost died. He straight up said he almost died from an infection.
So hopefully Rob Leonard can just keep it real with them. He's a defensive coordinator now. His former D-line coach got up. Hopefully someone on that coaching staff can just be real with them and let them know like, hey, look, this is what we need you to do. And so we can have you at your best at the best times. And yeah, I agree. But so let me ask you Adal, and then I'll pass it on to Severe. Do you agree with him being the 4th ranked pass rusher in the NFL?
If we're projecting going into next season, and we're kind of like looking at what he did last year, taking into account injury, high motor, but also taking into account what the Raiders did during the offseason, I think that's about right where he needs to be. I can make an argument for moving him up. I'm not comfortable with where Micah Parsons is, but I think I'll hold my thoughts on that. But I think again, you can't go wrong. 28-year-old like Max Crosby, who can slide on either side of the defense, has the versatility to really just wreak havoc with those. Like I think teams that are relentless, and like you said, that dynamic on the Raiders where he got hurt a lot also had to do with the lack of depth with the Raiders. So if he does ever get traded during the season and a team with depth at the position gets him, acquires him via trade, that could even highlight further how skilled and gifted he is, because now he would have teammates that would make it that much easier for him, right? And so
right,
with that thought in mind, just hold on to that thought about players that make teammates a lot better, because there's someone on the list that I think is ranked way too low, and that's one of his greatest assets, is being able to set up his teammates, something that might not show up on the stat sheet. But yeah, Max Crosby, I think as he gets into the next stage of his career here, like, you know, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, he will transition into being more of an impact player and getting those sacks, those timely sacks that decide games, as opposed to, like you said, playing with no worries for his body. And I think just being strategic about that long term.
Okay. So you agree with the number 4 ranking, or do you feel like it should be a little bit higher?
Yeah, I think it's just right, but in the argument I'll make down the line when we talk about it, you guys will kind of see where I'm headed with this thinking. But yeah, Myles Garrett is the one I'm agreeing with. Micah Parsons, I just have a problem with for the simple reason he's not going to be on the field to start the season. So that's maybe the only season, but someone could make the argument that he'll be an impactful addition like later in the season for the Packers playoff push. So you can see that from whichever end of the, you know, stick you want to.
Okay. And then real quick, FYI, Will Anderson was ranked number 3. He's 24-year-old pass rusher for the Houston Texans. Obviously, he's on the up and up. In here, forgot to mention this, he was tied with Max in the voting, but the tiebreaker, he got the tiebreaker.
More first place votes.
Yeah, because he had more top 5 votes.
Yeah. Okay.
So they were tied, but he had more. Will Anderson had more top 5 votes, so they ended up being the tiebreaker. So,
okay.
But Severe, man, do you agree with the number 4 ranking for Max?
Nah, it's too high for me, man. Too rich for my blood.
For Max?
Yeah, it's too high for me, man. He shouldn't be like
damn
6 or 7 in my opinion. 6 or 7. Will Anderson is too low.
Okay.
Will Anderson should be 2. Will Anderson should be 2.
I agree with that.
Will Anderson should be 2 for sure. I'm good with, obviously Myles Garrett is like this is Myles Garrett league right now in terms of defensive player. So you know he damn near every year he's gonna be defensive player of the year. Only player that might challenge him really is Will Anderson. But I I mean, at some point, you got to make more of an impact for my money, right? When you're that kind of, when you want to be thought of in that way, in that vein, I think you got to. It's not about individual stats. It's about lifting an entire unit. And the Raiders, you know, we can say it's on depth, or we say it's on coaching, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, I haven't seen a situation where Max lifted a unit. Not let alone a defense, not even a defensive line. All right, he ain't even lifted an entire defensive line. So I just think you got to do more than that. We've seen guys who were playing positions that were non-traditionally supposed to be productive. You think about what JJ Watt played. Think about what Dexter Lawrence plays. But those guys were still impactful themselves, and they lifted a unit. Like Max is not a guy that's doing that. And so if you want to be considered in that elite tier of player, you got to be able to lift at least a defensive line, let alone a defense. He hasn't done either.
I feel bad for Max though, man. It's like playing, and this is no shot at the Raiders, bro, but it's like the NFC West, the AFC West is top heavy, right? And playing on a team that's just either in a constant rebuild or doesn't have a quarterback that can carry talented teams, it always falls on like that ability to just play catch up. And I don't like. There's a lot of good players in the NFL that end up having wasted careers in bad situations, and
yeah,
it's not necessarily a reflection of the organization. It's just like the wrong time, right? Like the Raiders in 5 years could be a perennial contender, but that just didn't align with where Max Crosby was. So I'm sure we'll touch on that later, but I can't help but think about that being also like kind of like the backdrop to this conversation, right?
Yeah, and my thing is with Max is that, like, bro, this dude hasn't really played with any talent on the defensive side of the football, especially on that D line. You talk about depth. You know, the Raiders really don't have a lot of depth. They're not a good football team. They haven't been a good football team for a long time now. And then you also talk about, all right, the offense also not doing their part, or not the offense, where they're always playing. They're never playing with a lead. So that's where you see pass rushers really make their money, is when you know that the opposing offense is going to pass the football, and you know, guys pin their ears back and they're going to get after the quarterback. Max doesn't really have a lot of those opportunities, you know, but he's still to me, in my opinion, he's still been able to be an impact player, because he impacts the game from getting after quarterback, but also stopping the run. And maybe you could also argue and say, like, well, he plays too much of a hero ball, but it's almost like he kind of has to, because like, who else is going to be making the plays on defense? We don't really have anybody else. I mean, you probably can make a point going into last year. I think some people were like kind of saying, well, the next step in Max Crosby, or to see a little bit more from Max, if you're going to challenge him as a great player, is to maybe force more turnovers. And we kind of seen that last year. He was able to force some turnovers. Got an interception, forced some fumbles. You know, like, he was able to do that. I just think, man, if you look at some of the guys on the list, they're in better situations. Even Myles Garrett, like, he's played on a pretty solid D-line. But I'm not even going to compare him to Myles Garrett, because I think either way, Myles Garrett's better, more talented. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But, you know, Micah Parsons, Green Bay, talented defense. Will Anderson, we all know that DeMeco Ryans' defense is pretty talented, and he has Daniil Hunter on the other side. I don't think Max has ever had a Daniil Hunter on the other side. Christian Wilkins was supposed to be the guy to free up to unlock the Raiders D-line and the pass rush and all that. Hopefully this year, you know, Kwity Paye, you know, he's not been known as a pass rusher up until this point, but he was drafted in the first round, has all the traits and all that good stuff. So maybe he gets unlocked this year. You got Malcolm Kuntz. You got all these guys. Hopefully they can take the next step. But my point is, it's a lot of unproven guys that haven't done nothing, that haven't really done anything up until this point. You're just kind of like hoping and like, hey, hopefully, you know, this can work out. But I just think, for me, Max, he's definitely higher on the list. He's not lower.
No,
He's not
he's
lower.
like, put like this. When Will Anderson first got into the league as a rookie, the guy across from Will Anderson, I think his name was I think it was Grenard, Jonathan Grenard. He was basically, like an afterthought as a player. Because of the impact that Will Anderson was making, Grenard went off. And he was able to get a fat contract and go somewhere else. That's why they were able to, and that's part of the reason why they brought in Daniil Hunter, because Grenard left for big money elsewhere. So he was a guy that wasn't thought to be an impact player. Will Anderson gets there, he has his best season, goes off, goes somewhere else and gets paid, and now, do you hear his name again? No, you don't hear about him anymore, do you? You don't, because Will Anderson's impact helped make him a better player. When you're an elite player, it's incumbent upon you to make guys around you better. So if your excuse is I don't have the guys around me, bro, you're supposed to be the guy that's drawing the attention and making the plays on the D-line. You're the guy that has to do this. Malcolm Kuntz is your guy, you vouch for him. Christian Wilkins was the guy you wanted to bring in. Chandler Jones, another guy you recruited here. Yannick Ngakoue was another guy you recruited. He's bringing these people in. He's telling these people to come here. So you can't say he don't have the people when three of the people that been there been the people he wanted.
So some of the guys, it's not been all bad. Some of the guys that came in off the streets, came in and were productive, went on and got a second contract somewhere else. The pass rusher that went to New England, that a lot of Raider fans wanted to keep.
Caleb Von Chasen.
You know what I mean? Like maybe you could point to him and say like he kind of made him better. You know what I mean? Just because he was able to play around Max and be able to, make him better as a player. Cool. Like if someone is trash, like I'm not trying to say the Raider, but I'm like, if someone is not good, like, come on, man. Like there's only so much you can do about I think that making a player better, I don't want to say it's overrated. Like Grenard, for example, when did he leave the Texans?
After that first year.
After the first year,
went to the Vikings, I think.
Yeah, did he? Oh, did they swap places? They just him and Daniil Hunter just swap?
Because I feel like I heard his name this offseason.
He got traded to the Eagles, I think, for like a third.
All right. I gotta look up his production real quick. But if you haven't already, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell. But I get what you're saying, but man, I can't say so okay, so you're making an argument about Will Anderson at number 3, but you're saying he should be lower. So he should be like 6 or 7. So if you're saying lower, then you're saying guys like Aiden Hutchinson should be higher than him, Daniil Hunter should be higher than him. And these are all players that are like, Aiden Hutchinson, he's on the up and up. I like him, young player, 25 years old, but I like Max. I think Max is still a better player right now. Daniil Hunter, I'm taking Max over Daniil Hunter. And these are guys that are currently ranked number 5 and 6. Because you said that Max should drop from his number 4 spot all the way down to number 6 or 7.
He should be our top 5. Yeah, he shouldn't be in the top 5.
Oh man,
I mean, look. I'm not a fan of him, but there's a guy that has a Defensive Player of the Year under his belt on his list that's not even top 5.
All right, so let's move it on.
This is important too, though. When we're talking about this list, are we including projection into next year, or are we talking about body of work, or are we talking about accolades? Because it seems like
talking about everything.
It's a little bit of everything, right? And if that's the case, like, I can't advocate for. I think we all agree Micah Parsons can't be where he is, and I think, like, as to what Pharoah's saying, like it is important to know, like, all the great tools and skill sets he brings. Like, when I'm talking about Max Crosby, but to your argument, Severe, it's like it's coming on the heels of an injured season, and there's other people you can point to that have. I feel like I would sit on the fence on this one for the simple fact that, like, I do think Max Crosby, when healthy, if we're talking about strictly into next season, he's right where he needs to be. But if he gets injured, it's like I think Severe is a little more right. So it's one of those things.
Injured now. Like, that's the thing, though. He injured now. He's been injured like the last 3 years. So we saying this thing like, if healthy, like, bro, that's a big if. You feel me? It's like You'd be like, if Brandon Ayuk wasn't on cocaine, he probably could have got it out of out of San Francisco.
Hold on.
You know,
You said there's a guy on the list. If we gonna get to him, you talking
there's
about
two guys on the list that's depoys. That been depoys. That that if we're going off of all encompassing, there's two guys you could put in front of him.
No, but you're alluding to a player on this list plays for the 49ers. You're talking about injuries. Come on, like we're talking about Max. We're just taking our magnifying glasses and looking like, well, he's been missing the last couple games of the season, last 3 games of the season. He hasn't had a major injury where he's missing the entire year, the entire season. He hasn't had that yet. It's just
he hasn't had like a ligament injury, right?
He's had I think he said he's had like 10 or 11 surgeries. I want to say he said. So I think somewhere between 8 and 10. Might have been 8, somewhere between 8 and 10, but somewhere in that range, bro. That's a lot of cutting on your body, bro. A lot of opening your body, and like change of a doctor playing in your joints and your ligaments, like that's and like I say, he hasn't finished the last 3 years. Yeah.
Real quick, man, let me address the super chat. My guy, my 2 cents a bill says salute Severe Raider in the panel, man. Appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you supporting the show. Let me go ahead and go on with the top 10 list, and then we'll continue the conversation. We got Aiden Hutchinson, number 5 after Max. Like I said earlier, number 6, Danielle Henner from the Houston Texans. A guy that plays opposite of Will Anderson. Pretty good pass rusher even before he got there. Like I think Danielle Henner's problem was he was hurt. He had like an injury, reputation for being injured. Got the Texans, kind of cleared that up, and then rest is history. Like he's one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. And then number 7, a guy that's like usually you see him in the top of the list, T.J. Watt, from the Steelers. And some people mostly what they had to say was that he lost a little bit of a step, getting hurt, getting dinged up.
Yeah, getting older too.
He is getting older, but still top 10 pass rusher, but just not the same guy that he once was. And then number 8, we got Nick Bosa from the San Francisco 49ers. I'm just going to read some of the things it said. Several voters acknowledge that Bosa will still be in their top 5 if healthy. A torn ACL second of his career. If you want to talk about injuries, cost Bosa all games in 2020-25. He was balling before the injury, though, posting a 20.6% pass rushing rate along with 2 sacks. He's got the best speed to power move in the NFL. He gets off offensive tackles on their heels and he pushes right through them. So, hey, man, Bosa's a beast. Brian Burns was number 9, and to finish out the top 10, Nick Bonito, and one of the best quotes here. He's got maybe the best get off in the league. That's one a high-ranking personnel evaluator with an NFL team was quoted to say about him. So Nick Bonito, we seen it too. We seen it last year when we played the Broncos twice last season. So yeah, he's one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. Obviously, the Broncos got one of the best defenses in the NFL. All right, so out, man. This is your time. This is your time to shine. So your boy Nick Bosa is right.
Disclaimer, man. That's not my boy.
I'm just saying, man. Hey, hey, look.
He dons the color of the team I cover, but I get it.
All right. So Bosa is number 8. Do you agree with that ranking?
I will say his last comeback from surgery on the ACL was remarkable. He came back and it was a resurgent return. Led the team back to the Super Bowl. He's, the proof is in the pudding, and I think we talked about it earlier in the previous segment with Brandon Ayuk. The Niners have trusted him to rehab away from the facility, and they haven't had to revoke any of his guarantees. It seems he takes being a professional seriously, especially the medical part where, there's not much football work you can do besides strengthening your core and strengthening your muscles around. And obviously there's just benchmarks that you have to reach. So again, if we're going on these projections of what a player is, if there is a player like to categorize like Micah Parsons, where there might not be an early impact in the season, but as the season goes on and the player starts to, get their win back, and then playing, I think with an improved team, the Niners really went after that defensive tackle position. They got some defensive edge help. Now it seems as if Nick Bosa would just be, if healthy or even at a fraction of what he was before, it would be nothing short of remarkable, right? I tell people this all the time, that 2019 draft class, Nick Bosa, Debo, Dre Greenlaw, it was a special class, and the Niners have benefited from what they did for establishing the standard and the culture there. And so I think Nick Bosa's afforded himself, even if it's a down season where he's just a rotational piece and he's getting back, it's okay. But at 8 above Brian Burns, who had 16.5 sacks last season, I don't feel right. Like, again, even if it's a projection, I've got to go off of one. Brian Burns is in year 7. He's 30 years old. Nick Bosa is still 2 years younger than him. So I feel like all these things essentially cancel out, and it comes down to value and Nick's value when healthy. It's like, I don't see any player when Nick is having his best day that's better than him on this list, right? That's just a compliment.
Miles for sure. Come on, I can give you everybody else, but Miles on his best day.
The thing for Miles, I would say, yeah, you're right. Now that he's with the Rams, it'll allow us to have like a better comparison of like, you're playing again back to what Pharaoh said earlier. You're playing on a team that's stacked, that has a good offense, that plays complementary football, good coaching, situational awareness. He'll be able to just less thinking, playing on instinct, and then all the experience that he's gathered playing on the Browns, that was probably the one phase of football that was working in Cleveland the whole time he was there. But up until this point, if we're going on the history, like, Nick Bosa is one of the more accomplished rushing edges. He's proven, whether it's like high productivity with sacks, creating pressure, leading the team to the Super Bowl, and like, let's be real, he came into the Niners situation as the number 2 pick, and the number 1 pick that year was Kyler Murray, and look who's still on the same team that drafted him, and look who's on a different team now. And they're when that draft happened, the Cardinals could have drafted Nick Bosa, but they chose not to. And
I'm gonna have
at that time, people were saying that wasn't a wise decision.
I'm gonna have to put.
Tell me if I'm tripping.
Hey, and Silver and Black Lounge, I don't know, man. I don't know if that is as easy as Bo's over Max. I don't agree, and I don't think this list agrees too as well. I mean, we can move around some of the players on this list, but my thing is that, like, you could argue that Nick Bosa on this list consistently played with probably the best talent.
You can make that argument.
That the 49ers making the runs to the Super Bowl, deep playoff runs, was not because of their offense. A lot of that talent was on that defense. And then some.
Who was the best player on that defense though? That's where that's the crux of the conversation.
Is it Nick Bosa?
I mean, you can say Nick Bosa. You can also make an argument that it's Fred Warner too.
I mean, Fred Warner in 2019 was already I believe he was in the league a year before, so it's kind of like,
yeah. But Fred Warner was like a
fifth
round pick out of Utah State, so it's not like he was came in with like, we got this Fred Warner guy about to tear up the league. Like he had to get out the mud.
And that's why I feel like, since Nick Bosa has donned the San Francisco 49ers jersey, it's like, for the pick in the position that he was picked at, the value that was expected of it, he's exceeded that, especially on the heels of what was at the time the last ACL injury. That was his second career ACL injury. And I'm like, dude, he produced at that level that he did and came back and led the team to a second Super Bowl in 5 years. Like, just look at the numbers, bro. Make an argument for me right now that there was a better defensive end than Nick Bosa on the Niners.
I get it.
Oh no, not a better.
I get it, man. He's one of the few talented, super talented pass rushers in the NFL. That's why he's in this on this top 10 list. But also, Football is the ultimate team sport, bro. I'm sorry.
Why you think Micah's at 2 and why do you think he's at 8?
That's why earlier I was saying that, like, making someone better, like, I think there's some truth to it, but it's also like an overstatement, because at the end of the day, it's the ultimate team sport. Everything has to be clicking. Players have to play well. The coaches have to coach well. You know, like, there has to be a level. Now, like, are there greater players, and can they create easier opportunities for other maybe less talented but still talented players? Yeah, for sure. I agree. But I don't think if someone is a below average player and someone's a great player, I don't know how much they can raise that player into like to a good player. I don't think that magically just happens. And for Nick Bosa, as great as he is, the 49ers have been a way better franchise than the Raiders.
I mean, but brother, at 2018, the Niners were a 2-win team, though, brother. 2-win team. That's why I always say, like, I hear the crux of your argument is solid, bro. But think about it. The Niners were a 2-win team the year that they got that pick for Nick Bosa. And since that time, they have not been a 2-win team. In the year that they won 6, like, was injury prone. And so that's one thing that, you know, like, to go back to that Max point too, where it's like the dude always ends up injured, but it's like
there's so many. Come on, Kyle, y'all have you have one of the best coaches in the NFL, one of the best offensive minds in football. You had so many coaches coming out of that coaching tree.
If Nick Bosa not drafted though,
DeMeco Ryans, a former defensive coordinator, he was coaching that great defense, is a head coach for the Houston Texans, who's coaching a top defense as well. So it's like, as talented as Nick Bosa is, I don't think that he's like, it's not a crazy, like Myles Garrett to me is like, I don't care. Like, he can go play on Mars. I'm like, Myles Garrett is the best. Like, there's no one like Myles Garrett around the NFL. No one's as talented as him. If Myles Garrett played for the 49ers, they would go just as far. They would go just as far. You don't think the Niners would make the run to this, make those deep playoff runs, go to the Super Bowl if they have Myles?
I mean, if we're saying that, Nick Bosa could get sent to a lot of contenders, and I think that team, if Nick Bosa's healthy, would be a contender with a stronger chance, because that's how I perceive Nick Bosa's production and value at. Like, it's not a fluke. Like, it's proven. Like, if Myles Garrett is so good, the common denominator we would say is the Browns are just such a bad organization. He never got the fair shake, right? But my thing is, you couldn't even drag that team to the. I mean, I guess you could say they went to the playoffs, but it's kind of like there's nothing for me to say like, I remember Myles Garrett having that type of impact in a playoff game where that team went further than they needed to. Like, the Niners went from 2 wins to a Super Bowl the next year, losing to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
and that is largely tied to Nick Bosa. To discount that at any point in the conversation,
largely tied to Nick Bosa.
Hey, I'm be honest.
Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback, though, man. We can't give that.
Jimmy Garoppolo was efficient as all get out. He wasn't a superstar. He was efficient, and you guys had a hell of a run game too. A hell of a run game.
The run game I'd agree with, but Jimmy Garoppolo is not like, there's no one on that defense that you could say was okay. Dre Greenlaw was the same draft class as him. So him and Dre Greenlaw getting inserted to that defense, they layered that defense because it strengthened 2 phases of football to where now we don't really need to have an elite Richard Sherman, right, for that first Super Bowl run. We could just have him in the corner with his experience and being able to decipher what defenses are doing. But that front line, without Nick Bosa, the Niners don't make the Super Bowl in 2019, right?
No, I don't think so. No, but I think you could take a lot of players. I think you take some other guys off that team that I don't think they make the Super Bowl either. So I think he was a part of it, but I don't think correlation is not causation. So just because they've been a good team since then doesn't mean he was the reason they were, or the only reason he was a good team, or the main reason he were a good team.
I think Nick Bosa just suffers from the simple fact that, like, you joined a team that had great players, great coaching, great situation, but they weren't a successful franchise up until that point. But if we're gonna give credit to DeMeco Ryans for going to Houston and using his draft pick to get a draft pick who ends up being a player that's on this list, like, it's this is a good conversation because Will Anderson was the pick that solidified that team, right? Because it's immediate production from a young player on a young before he got the extension on a rookie contract. And it was the same formula the Niners followed, right? Unfortunately, the Niners weren't able to get a quarterback to kind of help them get over the hump. But like Nick Bosa, when healthy, to me, I look at him in the same breath as Myles Garrett. That's me.
Look, I don't look at anybody in the same. Nobody playing in the league today is in the same breath as Myles Garrett, man. Nobody in the league is in the same breath as Myles Garrett.
Because physical talent, like there's no one. The
physical talent, impact, just the dominant. I've never seen Nick Bosa be triple teamed. I've seen Myles Garrett be triple teamed and win. I've seen him be triple teamed and beat a triple team. I've never seen somebody like get beat and then just yell to their quarterback, run. It's just like because there was literally nothing they can do to that man. Like, the Browns was a destitute franchise, and he's led that team to the playoffs, and with a coach that's supposed to be an offensive coach, and he's led them to a number 1 defense in the past.
Hey, I'm be honest with you. I'll take Crosby over Bosa. Because I feel like he impacts the run game. I think that's very underrated. That I'm not sure if Bosa. I think Bosa is probably an all-around player, but I don't think he impacts the run game like Max Crosby does. But obviously, pass rushers get paid to get after the quarterback, and I just think that like Max hasn't had the same opportunities like a lot of these guys on the list that are productive and getting all this. That he's not playing with an offense that's getting leads. Like that's not happening. At the end of the day. So I don't, but as far as I think
the thing that's being discounted in this too, bro, is the NFC West is the best division in football, and the Niners won 12 games without Nick Bosa last year. What would have happened if he was there?